My name's Ricky Fleming.
And I'm Jennifer Fleming.
And we're just here to share a few minutes what God has been doing in our lives. Since coming here, being faithful in our tithes and offerings, to rise up and build, power of the Word, I can say that our lives have been very stable. We have been consistent. We've been on a steady increase over the years, some years more than others. And it's all as a result of just, being in the right place, doing the right thing, being the man and woman of God in our lives. This year, Jennifer had her biggest raise at work. We had our biggest tax return ever this year. When I was hoping we would get out without owing anything, and we had this kind of return, it was like, praise God. Of course, over the past 2 years, God has enabled us to build a home in a very nice community. I remember talking to the Lord about that, because the last thing I wanted to do was to get into something and then all of a sudden have to pull back on our giving because our expenses have gone up. I don't believe that's the purpose of God's increase. I think your giving comes before your lifestyle. Once we got into the house, it was steady as you go. It was business as usual. We didn't miss a beat. God took care of us, and He's increased us. Now the new property development, the Flavor Ridge, has been presented to us, been laid out. And of course, we knew this is another step we have to take, because it is another step in God. It's another step into our future. Or you could say it's another chapter that we're coming into in our lives. So, but we were just looking at what we could do, and I knew I had a few things I had paid off, and we would just transfer that money over and put toward the Flavor Ridge. That would be good and sufficient, on top of everything else that we're doing. But because there was no additional sacrifice, God, had us to double that. And now the rubber hits the road, and things are kind of getting pretty tight now, and I was just, plus, we have some things around the house that are pretty costly. We want to try to get done some projects. But we was willing to wait. I was willing to wait and put it off to the side, and we'll just come back to it later. But then I just started thinking, it's like, we shouldn't have to do that. We're giving more to this thing, and we just need to believe God to increase us above everything else so that we can have some of the things that we're believing for through this process. And since then, we've had close to half of it come in already, and we'll believe we'll have the rest of it by the end of the year. When God calls you to another level, I believe you're there until there's another step in the future. There's no going back. And even though it may seem hard at first, that's part of the sacrifice. But God will increase you to that level to where that will become the norm. Just like the Rise Up and Build all these years. That's become a standard for us. We don't even think nothing about it. It's just automatic. So we look forward to seeing what God's going to do in our lives through this new step that we're taking and trusting Him with. And I would encourage anybody who, if you're a part of the Rise Up and Build, or if you're not, take this next step, because it is another step. It's another step into your future, another chapter in your life. It may be, it's an open door for maybe a new job or increase, raise or promotion or something like that. You don't know what's going to happen once you take this extra step. So I would encourage you, if you haven't done that, do that today and just watch what God is going to do in your life. Do we have one more minute? I believe, Jennifer has something on her heart she wants to say, or she wants to share. Oh, we're out of time? Honey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up all your time. Forgive me.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Okay.